I want to start with something real. Listen to me. Right now, in this very moment, someone in this room is fighting a battle that nobody knows about. Someone is carrying a weight that's crushing them. Someone has been knocked down so many times, they're starting to believe the lie that they're supposed to stay down. And the enemy, and I don't care what you call it, the enemy is telling you that you're not strong enough, you're not worthy enough, and that your circumstances define who you are. But I'm here to tell you that's a lie. That's a LE. And before this day is over, you're going to understand what real strength looks like. See, we've been taught all our lives what strength is supposed to look like. We think strength is aggression. We think it's domination. We think it's the loudest voice in the room. We think it's the person who never breaks, never bends, never shows vulnerability. But that's not strength. That's armor. That's protection. That's fear disguised as power. Real strength, unshakable strength, it looks entirely different. It's quiet. It's peaceful. It's rooted in something so deep, so profound, that the storms of life can't touch it. I want you to understand something fundamental. The moment you stop needing people to like you is the moment you become truly likable. The moment you stop needing approval is the moment you command respect. This is not cruelty. This is not coldness. This is liberation. This is freedom. When you release your grip on what others think of you, you release yourself from bondage. You cut the strings that have been controlling you your entire life. Think about it. How many decisions have you made based on fear? Fear of what someone would say. Fear of judgment. Fear of being rejected. Fear of not being enough. We live our entire lives as puppets, and we hold the knife to our own strings. But here's the revelation. The people whose opinions are poisoning your mind, they're going home tonight and sleeping peacefully, while you're up all night tormented by their words. They're not losing sleep over you. Why are you losing sleep over them? This is the insanity we have to break free from. Unshakable strength begins with detachment, not from people, but from the need to be loved by all people. You cannot be the friend everyone needs. You cannot be the child who fixes the broken parent. You cannot be the partner who completes the incomplete person. You are not a savior. You are a human being with your own journey, your own purpose, your own destiny. And the moment you understand that, you'll stop betraying yourself to keep the peace with others. Listen to me. I've watched strong people my entire life, and I'll tell you what I've noticed. The strongest people I know are not angry. They're not bitter. They're not trying to prove anything to anybody. They've made peace with themselves. They know who they are. They know what they believe. And nothing, no circumstance, no rejection, no failure can shake that foundation. Why? Because their strength is not based on their circumstances. It's based on their character. It's based on their connection to something eternal, something unchanging, something real. You see, most of us are living in reaction to life instead of in alignment with life. Someone disrespects you, and immediately you're in a state of agitation. Someone doesn't call you back, and suddenly you're questioning your worth. Someone succeeds, and you feel diminished. This is the weakness we have to recognize and destroy within ourselves. You are giving away your power constantly. You are leaving pieces of yourself everywhere, in the opinions of others, in the validation you're chasing, in the approval you're desperate to receive. But what if you decided right now that you would no longer be moved by the temporary? What if you decided that compliments wouldn't lift you up and insults wouldn't tear you down? What if you understood that you are not your job, you are not your bank account, you are not your relationship status, you are not your past, you are the eternal witness to all of these things, but you are not these things. Your essence, your real self, is untouched by any external circumstance. This is the teaching that transforms lives. This is the wisdom that sets people free. When you understand that nothing is permanent, everything becomes bearable. The job loss, it's temporary. The betrayal, it will pass. The failure, it's not your identity. The pain, it will transform into wisdom. And suddenly, you're not drowning in the moment anymore. You're rising above it. You're observing it. You're learning from it. You're being shaped by it, but not destroyed by it. Real strength is knowing your worth without needing anyone to confirm it. Real strength is speaking truth, even when your voice shakes. Real strength is walking away from what doesn't serve you, even if it's comfortable. Real strength is admitting you were wrong. Real strength is asking for help. Real strength is vulnerable. It's honest, it's authentic, and it's rooted in something far deeper than your ego. You know what terrifies people? It's not your anger. It's not your power. It's your peace. Your peace is a threat to their chaos. Your stability is a mirror held up to their instability. Your purpose is a reminder of their purposelessness. So they'll come at you with criticism, judgment, and negativity. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because who you're becoming is making them uncomfortable. And a strong person understands this. A strong person doesn't take it personally. A strong person keeps moving forward anyway. The truth is, you don't know what you're capable of because you've never been tested properly. You've never been in a situation where you had to choose between what's comfortable and what's right. You've never had to stand alone. You've never had to say no to the majority. You've never had to believe in yourself when nobody else did. But those moments are coming. And when they do, you need to be ready. You need to know who you are before the world tries to tell you who you are. Let me tell you what unshakable strength looks like in real life. It's the person who doesn't need to win the argument because they know the truth. It's the person who can be criticized and not be moved because they've already judged themselves fairly. It's the person who can see another person succeed and genuinely celebrate them because they're not competing for scraps. It's the person who can fail spectacularly and get back up because they understand that failure is just data. It's just information. It's just part of the journey. This is what happens when you detach from outcomes. You do your work with excellence, but you're not attached to the result. You love people deeply, but you're not dependent on their reciprocation. You pursue your dreams with passion, but you're not destroyed if they don't materialize the way you expected. This is the paradox of strength. The less you need something, the more you attract it. The less you're desperate for love, the more lovable you become. The less you're chasing success, the more you achieve it. This is spiritual law. And I want you to understand the difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance is loud. Arrogance is defensive. Arrogance is constantly trying to prove itself. Arrogance is brittle. One crack and it shatters. But confidence is quiet. Confidence doesn't need to announce itself. Confidence walks into a room and doesn't need everyone to recognize it. Real confidence is so secure that it can celebrate others, can admit weakness, can change its mind, can be humble. This is the strength that lasts. This is the strength that builds empires. Here's what I want you to hear. You have the power right now. Not someday. Not when you get the promotion. Not when you find the right partner. Not when you lose the weight. Not when you have enough money. Right now. You have the power to choose how you respond to this moment. You have the power to choose what you believe about yourself. You have the power to choose whether you're going to be defined by your past or directed by your purpose. That power has always been there. You just forgot about it. So the question is, are you going to spend the rest of your life chasing validation from people who will never be satisfied? Are you going to spend your days worrying about what others think? Are you going to hand your power away to circumstances and to people? Or are you going to wake up? Are you going to understand that your strength was never dependent on external things? Are you going to reclaim the authority over your own life? Because here's the truth, you are stronger than you know. You've already survived 100% of your worst days. You've already overcome things you never thought you'd overcome. You've already proven your strength more times than you've acknowledged. But you keep forgetting. You keep doubting. You keep asking permission from people who have no authority over your destiny. Not anymore. This is your moment. This is your awakening. You are unshakable. You are whole. You are complete right now exactly as you are. And the moment you know that, the moment you really know that, nothing on this earth will be able to shake you. Nothing will be able to move you. Nothing will be able to stop you from becoming who you were meant to be. We have been taught a dangerous lie. We have been told that detachment means not caring. We have been conditioned to believe that if you're not emotional, if you're not reactive, if you're not desperate, then you must be cold, uncaring, and heartless. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of what detachment truly is, and it keeps people imprisoned in a cycle of neediness, validation, seeking, and emotional dependence that destroys their lives. Let me be clear, detachment is not indifference. Indifference is the absence of caring. Indifference is apathy. Indifference is disconnection from life itself. But detachment, real detachment, is the highest form of love and the deepest expression of strength. Detachment is when you care so deeply about something that you've transcended the need to control the outcome. It's when you love someone so much that you release them completely. It's when you pursue your purpose so passionately that you're no longer attached to whether the world recognizes it. Think about a parent who loves their child. The detached parent loves their child more than anything, but they don't need their child to be a certain way to feel whole. They don't need their child to succeed for them to feel like a good parent. They don't need their child's approval to know their own worth. This parent can set boundaries. This parent can say no. This parent can let their child fail and learn. This parent has given themselves the greatest gift, freedom. And paradoxically, this is the parent who raises the strongest, most independent, most emotionally healthy children. Now contrast that with the attached parent. The attached parent's entire emotional state depends on how their child is doing. If the child struggles, the parent falls apart. If the child succeeds, the parent feels validated. The child becomes responsible for the parent's emotional well-being, and the child grows up feeling suffocated, controlled, and burdened with the weight of their parent's happiness. This is what attachment does. It destroys both people involved. The same principle applies to every area of your life. When you're attached to a job, you're enslaved by it. You'll compromise your values, work yourself to exhaustion, and sacrifice your peace to keep it. You'll let your boss's moods dictate your emotional state. You'll interpret a critical comment as a judgment on your worth as a human being. But when you're detached from the job, when you do excellent work because it matters to you, not because you need the validation, you're free. You can leave if it no longer serves you. You can speak truth. You can maintain your dignity. When you're attached to a relationship, you lose yourself in it. You become a chameleon, constantly shifting to please the other person. You read into every text message. You spiral when they're distant. You interpret their mood as commentary on your relationship. You stay in situations that harm you because you're terrified of abandonment. But when you're detached from the outcome of the relationship, when you love the person, but you're not dependent on them to complete you, you remain whole. You can actually love them freely. You can be honest. You can leave if you're not being treated right because your peace doesn't depend on their presence. This is what detachment really means. It means you've done the inner work to know your own worth, independent of external circumstances. It means you've released the belief that you need other people's approval to be valuable. It means you've understood that your peace is not negotiable, and neither is your integrity. You care deeply. You work hard. You love fully. But you're not attached to the outcome. You're not dependent on people's circumstances or validation to feel whole. This is where your true power lies. There is something that happens in a human being when they connect to something greater than themselves. It's not religion necessarily, though it can be. It's not about belonging to an institution or following a set of rules. It's about anchoring yourself to a truth so profound, so real, so unchanging, that nothing temporal can shake it. This is what builds unshakable strength. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. When I talk about spiritual alignment, I'm talking about the moment you stop living for yourself and start living for something larger. I'm talking about the moment you realize that you're part of something bigger than your desires, your fears, your ambitions. You're part of a grand design. Your life has meaning beyond your paycheck, your appearance, your social status. You are here for a purpose. And the moment you connect with that purpose, the moment you truly feel it in your soul, everything changes. Most people are spiritually homeless. They're walking around looking for something to fill the void inside them, but they're looking in all the wrong places. They're looking in money. They're looking in relationships. They're looking in achievement. They're looking in substances. They're looking in approval. And none of these things will ever fill that void, because the void was never meant to be filled by temporary things. The void was meant to be filled by connection to the eternal, to the infinite, to something real. When you're spiritually aligned, you have an internal compass. You know what's right. You don't have to debate it. You don't have to get opinions from 50 people. You don't have to wonder if you're making the right choice. You feel it in your bones. You know it in your heart. This is what spiritual alignment gives you. Clarity. Absolute, unwavering clarity about who you are and what you stand for. And here's what's remarkable. When you're spiritually aligned, external circumstances lose their power over you. You lose your job, but your identity doesn't disappear because your identity was never based on your job. You experience heartbreak, but you don't fall apart because your wholeness was never dependent on another person. You face rejection, but it doesn't destroy you because you understand that rejection from people is not rejection from the universe. You're still loved. You're still worthy. You're still part of the infinite design. This is not positive thinking. This is not affirmations in the mirror. This is not pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is real, deep spiritual understanding. This is knowing in the core of your being that you are safe, that you are guided, that you are protected by forces far greater than your own mind can comprehend. And that knowing transforms how you navigate life. You still feel pain. You still experience sadness. You still encounter difficulties, but you're not alone in them anymore. You're held by something greater. Spiritual alignment also gives you direction. When you're connected to a higher purpose, you stop wandering aimlessly. You stop making decisions based on fear or greed or what others expect of you. You start making decisions based on alignment with your deepest values and your highest calling. Your life starts to make sense. The struggles start to have meaning. The setbacks start to reveal themselves as redirections. Everything becomes purposeful. And here's the most powerful part. When you're spiritually aligned, you become a beacon for others. You don't have to convince people of anything. People are drawn to your peace, your clarity, your authenticity. You become an instrument of something greater, and that something uses you to touch lives, to inspire, to heal, to transform. This is the ultimate expression of strength, when your life is no longer just about you, but about what you can contribute to the collective human experience. There is a truth that, if you really understand it, will liberate you from 90% of the suffering in your life. It's a truth that ancient wisdom traditions have taught for thousands of years, but it's a truth that modern culture actively works to hide from you. The truth is this: everything passes. Everything. Without exception, nothing remains. Nothing stays the same. Not the good, not the bad, not the comfortable, not the painful. All of it moves through time like water through your fingers. The moment you stop gripping so desperately and allow yourself to truly understand this, you become unshakable. We suffer because we cling. We cling to moments of happiness and try to make them permanent. We try to freeze time. We say, I want to stay in this moment forever. And when time inevitably moves forward and the moment ends, we suffer. We grieve the loss of something that was always meant to be temporary. The vacation ends. The promotion loses its excitement. The honeymoon phase of the relationship fades. And instead of accepting this natural flow of life, we resist it. We fight against reality. We demand that life be different than it is. Then there's suffering that comes from holding on to pain, resentment, and trauma. We carry wounds like they're permanent markers on our souls. Someone hurt us 10 years ago, and we're still angry about it. Someone rejected us years back, and we're still convinced we're unlovable. We failed at something, and we wear that failure like an identity. We treat the past like it's the present. We treat temporary circumstances like they're permanent conditions. And the irony is that time is already doing the work for us. The pain is already fading. The sting is already dulling. But we keep picking at the wound, keeping it infected, refusing to let it heal. When you truly understand impermanence, not just intellectually, but in your bones, in your being, you stop being moved by temporary things. Someone insults you today, but tomorrow they might compliment you. Someone rejects you this week, but next week someone else might embrace you. You lose something today, but tomorrow opportunities arrive. You fail at one thing, but succeed at another. The landscape of your life is constantly shifting. The only constant is change itself. This is why detachment from outcomes becomes so powerful. When you understand that nothing is permanent, you realize there's no point in being attached to any particular outcome. You put in your effort today, but you release your grip on what happens next. You speak your truth, but you're not dependent on whether people accept it. You do the work, but you're not bound to a specific result. This freedom is what creates real peace. And here's something profound: the same impermanence that means your suffering will end also means your joy will too. So the goal isn't to cling to happiness and resist sadness. The goal is to move through both with grace and equanimity. To feel happiness when it comes without needing it to stay. To feel sadness when it comes without believing it will last forever. This balanced acceptance is the mark of true emotional resilience. Think about the times in your life when you've survived something you thought would destroy you. The breakup that felt fatal. The loss that seemed unbearable. The failure that felt like the end of everything. But time moved forward. Months passed. Years passed. And now those things that seemed so permanent are merely chapters in your story. You survived them all. You're still here. You're still whole. And that same resilience is available to you in every moment, for every challenge that comes. When you stop resisting the fact that everything changes, you stop fighting against life. You start moving with it. You become flexible instead of brittle. You become adaptable instead of rigid. You become like water, taking the shape you need to take in each moment, flowing around obstacles, never breaking, always finding your way. This is the strength that comes from understanding impermanence. This is the peace that comes from releasing your grip on permanence and embracing the reality that everything is in constant flow. We live in a world that confuses confidence with arrogance, and this confusion has created a generation of people who are either falsely inflated or deeply diminished. They're either walking around with a brittle, defensive ego that shatters at the first sign of criticism, or they're shrinking themselves, making themselves small, apologizing for their existence because they've confused humility with worthlessness. But true confidence, real, unshakable confidence, is something entirely different. It's a rare thing, and when you encounter it, you know it immediately. Arrogance is loud. It needs an audience. It needs validation. Arrogance is someone constantly proving themselves, constantly telling people how great they are, constantly defending their position. Arrogance is insecurity in a fancy suit. It's someone who's afraid that if they stop talking about how good they are, people will figure out they're not. Arrogance is needy. It's desperate. It's fragile. The moment someone challenges it, it erupts. The moment things don't go the way the arrogant person expected, they fall apart. This is not strength. This is theater. But confidence, real confidence, is quiet. It doesn't need a stage. Real confidence walks into a room and doesn't care if anyone notices. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need recognition. It knows its own value so completely that it has no need to announce it. Real confidence can celebrate other people's success without feeling diminished. It can admire someone else's talent without comparing itself. It can see another person's greatness and genuinely say, "That's beautiful. That's powerful." This is the mark of true strength. Here's what separates the two. Arrogance is about being better than others. Confidence is about being better than you were yesterday. Arrogance requires you to put other people down to feel tall. Confidence allows you to lift other people up without losing any height yourself. Arrogance is rigid. It's defensive. It can't change its mind because changing would be admitting error, and error would threaten the fragile edifice of the false self. But confidence is flexible. It can change its mind. It can say, "I was wrong. I didn't understand that before, but I understand it now." This ability to evolve, to grow, to admit mistake, this is what real strength looks like. Real confidence can be vulnerable. In fact, the most confident people I know are the most willing to show their humanity. They can cry. They can ask for help. They can admit fear. They can acknowledge their limitations. This is not weakness. This is the ultimate expression of strength. To be so secure in who you are that you have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. You're not performing a role. You're not maintaining an image. You're just being exactly who you are, flaws and all, and trusting that you're enough. This kind of confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to it, but not because they want something from it. They're drawn to it because it makes them feel safe. Your peace is contagious. Your authenticity gives them permission to be authentic. Your acceptance of yourself gives them permission to accept themselves. Meanwhile, arrogance repels people. Oh, some people might surround the arrogant person out of fear or hope to benefit from their success. But there's no real connection. There's no genuine relationship. Because arrogance is always on guard, always competing, always protecting. The truth is, confident people don't need to win every argument because they know the truth. They don't need everyone to like them because they like themselves. They don't need everyone to agree with them because they've already judged their own ideas fairly. They can lose and get back up because they understand that losing doesn't define them. They can fail spectacularly and not be destroyed because failure is information, not identity. This is the kind of strength that endures. This is the kind of confidence that builds empires and changes worlds. There is a power that lives inside you that you've been taught to ignore. It's a power that nobody can take away from you. No circumstance can remove it. No person can steal it. No tragedy can extinguish it. It is the power to choose your response. It is the power of choice itself. And the moment you truly understand that this power belongs entirely to you, you become unshakable. You become free. Because your freedom was never dependent on your circumstances. Your freedom was always available to you. You just didn't know how to access it. We live in a world that tries to convince us that we're victims of our circumstances. If you were born into poverty, you're doomed. If you experience trauma, you're broken. If someone hurt you, you're justified in your bitterness. If the world rejected you, you're worthless. This is the lie that keeps people imprisoned. This is the narrative that steals their power. And yes, circumstances matter. Yes, trauma is real. Yes, injustice exists. But here's the revolutionary truth: circumstances do not define you. Your response to circumstances defines you. Think about two people facing the exact same situation. One becomes defeated. One becomes determined. One becomes bitter. One becomes wise. The circumstance was identical. The difference was in the choice each person made about how to respond to it. One person decided, "This proves I'm a failure." The other person decided, "This is information about what doesn't work. Now I know what to try next." Same experience. Different responses. Different outcomes. Different lives. The prison of victimhood is one you lock yourself into. You can get out anytime. You decide that you're no longer willing to hand your power to what happened to you. I'm not saying pretend the pain wasn't real. I'm not saying dismiss the injustice. I'm saying stop letting what happened to you be the author of who you become. Stop giving your past the authority to write your future. That power belongs to you and only you. You might say, but I can't control what happens to me. You're absolutely right. You can't. And that's not the point. The point is that you can control what happens inside you in response to what happens to you. You can't control whether someone leaves you, but you can control whether you'll spend the rest of your life pining for them or opening yourself to new love. You can't control whether you lose your job, but you can control whether you spiral into despair or see it as an opportunity for reinvention. You can't control whether someone disrespects you, but you can control whether you let it shake your foundation or whether you remain unmoved because you know your worth. This is where real power lies. Not in changing the world around you, though that may happen. Real power lives in your ability to remain whole and centered no matter what the world throws at you. It's the power to choose peace when chaos surrounds you. It's the power to choose love when you're faced with hatred. It's the power to choose growth when you're confronted with loss. And here's what's remarkable. When you start exercising this power, when you stop being reactive to life and start being responsive to it, something shifts. You begin to attract different circumstances. Not because the universe magically gives you what you want, but because you start making different choices. You start taking different actions. You start moving in a different direction. Your response to life literally creates your life. Your choices are the architect of your destiny. This is the ultimate freedom. Not freedom from pain or difficulty or challenge, but freedom from the need to be defined by any of it. Freedom to choose who you become. Freedom to decide that what happened to you does not get to decide who you are. Freedom to understand that in every single moment, you have agency, you have choice, you have power. This is the strength that cannot be shaken because it's rooted not in external circumstances, but in the sovereign power of your own consciousness. So understand this, you are not the sum of your circumstances. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not the opinions others hold of you. You are the one who chooses. You are the one who responds. You are the one who creates meaning from your experiences. You are the one who decides whether you rise or fall. And that power, that extraordinary, unshakable power, has been yours all along. The only question now is, will you finally claim it?